Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we get smart, fast. We take stacks of articles, research, personal notes sometimes, and we really dig deep.
Yeah, pull out those key nuggets, right? So you get the essentials quickly.
Exactly. And today we're plunging into something, well, incredibly common. It's just woven into our daily lives, isn't it?
Mm.
But we rarely stop to think about its true impact. We are talking about sugar.
Ah, the sweet stuff. Or maybe not so sweet when you dig into it.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. What if this thing, this readily available substance we turn to for comfort, for a boost,
Yeah, that quick fix.
what if it was actually one of the biggest challenges to our overall well-being? And I don't just mean physical health,
No, it goes deeper.
affecting our minds, our clarity, even how we look in ways we just don't connect the dots on usually.
That's the mission today, then.
That's the mission for this deep dive. We're extracting the key insights from a really fascinating personal journey. It's meticulously detailed in our source today. A week without sugar. A sweet transformation.
So not just a diary, but something more rigorous.
Absolutely. It helps us understand not just what happened when someone, radically cut out sugar.
But the why behind it.
Exactly.
Right.
And what a big dietary shift like that can really show us about, well, our body's resilience and how we tick internally.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where does the source start?
It starts strong, very strong. Calls sugar health's biggest enemy.
Wow, doesn't pull any punches.
Not at all. Emphasizes that overconsumption is particularly fatal. That's a heavy statement.
Fatal. That suggests way more than just, gaining a few pounds.
Precisely. It points to a multifaceted assault on our health. The source warns the negative effects go way beyond weight gain. It says, quite unequivocally, it's bad for the skin and the brain.
Skin and brain, okay.
And offers almost no useful points for the organisms in the body. Basically, empty calories and then some.
So it's not just neutral, it's actively detrimental.
That's the indictment. It really urges us to think about how deep this goes, how harmful this seemingly innocent thing can be. The source pretty much says we need to figure out how to get it out of our diets, or at least way, way down.
And that probably resonates with a lot of people listening, that feeling of being hooked.
It really does. And the author of our source makes this struggle so relatable. They describe this daily, almost subconscious battle with cravings.
Mm-hmm. Familiar territory for many.
An inability to go a single day without something sweet. It's so common now. Sugar's just everywhere.
It really is.
They mentioned starting the day with a sweet breakfast, then maybe a little piece of chocolate with coffee.
Just a small treat, right?
Yeah, seems harmless. And then after dinner, that automatic habit, reaching for sweet biscuits with herbal tea.
It paints such a clear picture. Sugar isn't just a dessert. It's woven into the whole day's routine.
Exactly. Comfort, habit, relaxation. It's not just a little treat. It's this constant companion influencing choices from morning till night, often without us even realizing it.
And what's really fascinating from a scientific angle is how deep that influence goes. It's not just habit, it's, well, neurological.
Neurological. How so?
Well, our source points out something pretty well established. Our brain can actually become obsessed with, even addicted to, sugar.
Addicted. Like truly addicted.
Yeah, it triggers similar reward pathways in the brain as some drugs. It's a real physiological and neurological response, not just a lack of willpower.
So that explains the intense cravings.
It absolutely does. Think about it. The source says, the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want. It's a vicious cycle.
A feedback loop.
Precisely. And if you find yourself constantly needing it, if you genuinely can't imagine getting through a day without a sweet hit,
Yeah.
our source is clear. That's a sign you're eating too much.
A clear signal.
Definitely. So if you listening have ever felt that persistent, almost overwhelming need for something sweet, that powerful urge, it is not just you being weak. Your brain could literally be sending those strong addictive signals.
Wow. And this dependency, it's not trivial, right? There are real health consequences.
Oh, absolutely. Our source backs this up with some serious science, moving beyond just personal experience.
Yeah.
Overconsumption, it states, significantly increases the probability of developing obesity and diabetes.
Two massive health issues right there.
Huge. And it's not just about weight. It also raises blood triglyceride levels.
Triglycerides, those are fats in the blood.
Exactly. A type of fat.
Yeah.
And high levels, often fueled by too much sugar, are a big red flag for heart disease risk.
Okay.
Our source actually points to a specific Harvard University study from 2022. It indicated that refined sugar intake can cause cardiovascular disease.
Cause it directly.
That's what the study suggests. We're talking about the health of your heart, your arteries. When you eat refined sugar, especially fructose, your liver goes into overdrive trying to process it.
Right.
Excess gets turned into fat, some stored in the liver, hello, fatty liver disease, and some released into the blood as triglycerides. Over time, this contributes to hardening arteries, heart problems. It's serious stuff.
It really paints a grim picture, and it doesn't stop there, does it?
No, the long-term implications get even more complex. Our source cites another 2022 journal study. This one found that excessive long-term consumption of sugar can cause autoimmune diseases.
Autoimmune, like Crohn's.
Exactly. Things like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, even thyroid issues like or hypothyroidism. These are chronic conditions where your immune system basically attacks your own body.
That sounds devastating. How does sugar even factor into that?
Well, the thinking is that chronic high sugar intake can really mess up your gut microbiome, the balance of bacteria in your digestive system.
Okay, the gut connection.
Right. This can lead to increased intestinal permeability, sometimes called leaky gut. Basically, tiny particles that shouldn't get through your gut lining escape into your bloodstream.
And the immune system reacts.
It goes on high alert, triggers widespread inflammation, and can potentially get confused, leading it to attack healthy tissues by mistake.
So sugar impacts everything: weight, heart, brain, even the immune system.
It's incredibly pervasive,
Yeah.
which leads to the big question, doesn't it?
Can we actually live without it? Is it even possible?
Our source gives a pretty emphatic yes. And not just yes, but it details this compelling challenge, this personal journey, showing it's not only doable, but potentially transformative.
Oh, okay. That's quite the case against sugar. So for anyone listening now thinking, right, I see the problem, but what do I do? How do you actually get it out of your life? Does the source offer practical steps?
It does. It lays out a couple of distinct approaches for tackling this, sort of a roadmap.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's what the source calls the bold method of quitting sugar at once. Cold turkey,
Ripping off the Band-Aid. Intense.
very intense. The author notes this can lead to quicker results, which can be motivating.
But there must be downsides.
Oh yeah, big warning. It can cause initial side effects, things like headaches, fatigue, basically withdrawal symptoms.
Sounds rough.
It can be.
Yeah.
But the source does say these uncomfortable feelings usually disappear completely after a few days. It's like a shock to the system, forcing a quick reset.
Okay, so that's option one. Go hard, get it over with quickly. What's the alternative?
Option 2 is the gradual reduction method.
Makes sense. Weaning yourself off slowly.
Exactly. Slower, more measured. The main pro, according to the source, is it's certainly simpler to ease into. Feels less drastic, less overwhelming.
Okay, sounds easier. But what's the catch?
The catch is significant. It's slower, obviously, but maybe more importantly, it makes it easy to fall into temptation.
Ah, the long game against cravings.
Right. That gradual approach means you're fighting those urges for a much longer period. It prolongs the psychological battle, increases the chances of slipping up. It requires sustained willpower over weeks or months.
So it really raises that question, doesn't it? Is one way inherently better, or does it just depend on the person?
I think it really depends. Looking at the psychology and physiology, there's a clear trade-off.
How so?
Well, the cold turkey method means facing that intense but short-lived discomfort. Headaches, irritability, major cravings, maybe even feeling flu-like for a bit.
Yeah, the withdrawal.
Right. But for someone who likes decisive action, pushing through that initial pain to see fast results can be super motivating. It's a jolt, yes, but it breaks the cycle quickly. A fast, effective reset.
Makes sense for certain personality types.
Definitely. On the other hand, gradual reduction might seem better for someone who prefers less disruption, or maybe someone who finds all-or-nothing approaches just don't stick for them long-term.
More sustainable, perhaps.
Potentially. But, like the source warns, that long battle with temptation is a huge psychological hurdle. It demands constant, consistent discipline over a much longer time.
Yeah, you're constantly having to say no.
Exactly. And if you do slip up occasionally, which is easy to do, it can feel like failure and be really disheartening. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So which path did the author of our source choose? The bold method or the gradual one?
They went for it. They boldly chose the former.
Cold turkey it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Immediately embarked on their sugar-free week. And that decision really sets the stage for this incredible day-by-day account that follows.
Okay, so they jumped right in. What happened? What's day one like when you just stop?
Intense, as you expect.
Yeah.
The source describes an immediate, fierce internal battle.
The cravings kick in straight away.
Oh, yeah. The author describes hearing this powerful inner voice, almost like it wasn't their own, whispering, "Isn't a piece of cake okay?"
Wow, that little devil on the shoulder.
Totally.
Yeah.
They even questioned if it was their brain or something else interfering. It was, in their words, extremely difficult.
More than just changing a habit then.
Much more. It required a whole change in mindset. It really highlights how deep sugar consumption goes. It's not just physical, it's psychological comfort, reward, coping, an emotional crush for so many.
Absolutely. And was it just about avoiding obvious sweets?
That's where it gets tricky. Our source highlights this early struggle wasn't just about the physical withdrawal or the mental patterns, but also about identifying the hidden sugars.
Ah, the sneaky ones.
Exactly. Sure, cutting sugar from coffee might be straightforward,
Yeah.
but the author quickly realized they had to be incredibly careful, paying close attention to hidden sugars consumed unknowingly.
Where were they finding them?
All over the place. This is crucial for anyone trying this. Sugar isn't just in cake and soda. It's hiding in salad dressings, yogurts that seem healthy, granola bars.
Bread.
Most breads, yeah. Condiments like ketchup, pasta sauces, instant oatmeal, fruit juices, which are often basically sugar water, even some savory processed meals. It's a real stealth attacker.
You really have to become a label detective.
You absolutely do. And the author, who apparently always liked a sweet breakfast, also looked into sugar substitutes as a way to cope initially.
Ah, the substitutes debate. Stevia, erythritol.
Ah.
What did the source say?
It presents both sides. On one hand, you have the pure sugar-free purists. They argue you should avoid all sweet tastes, even zero-calorie ones.
Why? What's the reasoning?
They call it mind education. The idea is you need to break the craving for sweetness itself, learn to live without that sensation entirely.
Interesting. A hardline approach.
Very. But the author offers a more pragmatic view. They suggest substitutes could be a great option initially.
To stop people from just giving up immediately.
Exactly. Their logic is that quitting sugar at once is just very difficult and unsustainable for a lot of people. Using substitutes can bridge the gap, prevent that feeling of total deprivation that makes you quit on day 2.
Like training wheels.
Kind of. The goal they suggest isn't to rely on them forever, but to use them as stepping stones. Remove them later, once your resolve and awareness are firm and your taste buds have started to adjust.
That seems like a reasonable compromise, balancing idealism with actually sticking to it.
Right. It acknowledges that for some, maybe many, a slightly less strict start is the key to making a lasting change.
Okay, so day 1 is a battle against cravings, hidden sugars, and maybe using substitutes. What happens next? Does it get easier or different?
Well, day 2 brought a surprise. Despite the author's brain still being resistant, still skeptical that this whole sugar-free thing could really make a difference, they started feeling changes.
Physical changes already?
Yeah, physical and energetic. They'd heard that not eating sugar makes you feel better and more energetic, but that inner voice, that skeptical part of the brain, said it couldn't admit it yet.
That internal tug of war. So what actually happened?
It's pretty incredible how fast the body can react.
Yeah.
The author was genuinely surprised waking up on day 2. They felt more refreshed and relaxed,
More refreshed after just one day.
and noticeably less tired. This wasn't some gradual thing over weeks. It was a distinct improvement right away.
Wow.
And as the day went on, they noticed energy started to surge quite quickly.
So not just less tired, but more actual energy.
Exactly. And here's the really compelling part. The benefits weren't just internal. They saw visible changes too.
Visible. Like what?
Dark circles under the eyes also disappeared and skin became shiny.
No way, after just one day.
That's what the source says. The author even wondered, is it a miracle?
I can see why. What's the science behind that quick change? Less inflammation.
That's likely a huge part of it. Sugar is known to be inflammatory and contributes to fluid retention. When you remove it, the body can start reducing that inflammation very quickly, improve hydration.
And it shows up in your face, under your eyes.
Right. And that immediate positive feedback, feeling better and looking better, is absolutely massive for motivation, especially when you're still fighting cravings. It shows you the effort is worth it right away.
Okay, day 2 sounds surprisingly positive. What about day 3? Did the good stuff continue?
It did, and it became even more pronounced, especially the aesthetic benefits, specifically on the face.
The face again? What happened?
Our source highlights, from the 3rd day, effects began to appear on the face. The author noticed their face was less puffy.
Less puffy, like de-bloated.
Exactly. And even more, their jawline became clearer.
A clearer jawline in 3 days. That seems fast.
It does. And the author acknowledges that.
Yeah.
They were surprised by the short-term effect. They even said It sounds like a lie.
But they saw it.
But I saw it and others saw it, so it must be true.
Ah, other people noticed too. That's key validation.
Huge validation. It really lends credibility to how quick and undeniable the change was. And it makes you think, right, what does that rapid reduction in puffiness really tell us about sugar's role?
Water retention, inflammation.
Both, most likely. Sugar triggers systemic inflammation, and inflamed tissues hold on to fluid. Remove the sugar, inflammation drops, the body releases that excess fluid, your lymphatic system drains it better.
And your face looks less swollen, more defined.
Precisely. It shows how quickly the body sheds that inflammatory load. And like the author found, having other people notice. That's a powerful motivator to keep going.
Definitely. So less puffiness, more energy. What about the mental side? Any changes there by day 4?
Big changes. Day 4 shifts focus to cognitive benefits. It tackles that common complaint, brain fog.
Oh, I know that feeling. Heavy head. Can't concentrate.
Exactly. The author described it as difficulty concentrating, a heavy head, and a cluttered mind, and confirms this is also a symptom of eating too much sugar.
That blood sugar roller coaster effect, maybe?
That's a huge part of it. Those spikes and crashes create unstable energy supply for the brain. But what's fascinating is how quickly removing sugar helps.
What did the author experience?
After cutting sugar, their mind gradually cleared. It wasn't subtle. They specifically noted concentration increased.
Leading to better work, I assume.
Directly, improved work efficiency. The source really emphasizes this. Living without sugar helps to free the mind.
Free the mind. That's powerful phrasing.
Isn't it? Connecting it back to the science, stable blood sugar means a more consistent, optimal fuel supply for the brain. This helps regulate neurotransmitters, those brain chemicals leading to better focus, clearer thinking, more stable mood, no more fog.
And did this clarity stick around?
Yes, the author felt the effect from the 4th day, but importantly, they later saw the effect in a consistent and more noticeable way.
So it's a cumulative benefit. It gets better over time.
Exactly. It wasn't just a one-day fluke. It was the beginning of a sustained improvement in mental function.
Okay, energy up, puffiness down, mind clearer. This is sounding pretty good. What happened on day 5?
Day 5 brought something truly astonishing for the author, something that became a major turning point.
Oh, sounds dramatic. What was it?
They recount it with near disbelief. I couldn't believe it, but I swear it really happened.
Okay, you've got my attention.
The author still couldn't quite believe their face had gotten smaller overall, but then they clearly noticed that the double chin was shrinking.
The double chin, shrinking in 5 days.
That's what they saw. And for them, that was it. That concrete, undeniable, very personal change, it solidified everything.
How so?
In that moment, seeing that reduction, they firmly decided to never eat sugar again.
Wow. That specific visible change was the catalyst for a lifelong decision.
It sounds like it. For anyone who's self-conscious about something like that, seeing such a clear improvement can be absolutely monumental. It's incredibly motivating.
I can imagine. It makes the benefits very real, very tangible.
Totally. And what's fascinating is how that single change became the ultimate driver for a permanent lifestyle shift. It led the author to realize that their diet during that time might not have been normal.
A moment of clarity about their past habits?
Exactly. It wasn't just about the 7-day challenge anymore. This specific observation was the moment I decided to continue the sugar-free diet beyond the 7-day challenge.
It really shows the power of visible results, doesn't it? Abstract health benefits are one thing, but seeing your face change.
It makes it undeniable. A double chin often involves both fat and fluid retention. Removing sugar tackles both reducing the inflammation that causes fluid retention and helping regulate fat storage. It hits that spot in a very visible way.
Okay, day 5 is a game changer. What about day 6? Any more surprises?
Yes, another specific physical improvement, this time focusing on an often overlooked area,
Whereabouts?
the ankles. The author mentions they recently had thick, swollen ankles as if they were full of water.
Swollen ankles. That can be really uncomfortable, right? And a sign of fluid retention, generally.
Exactly. It's not just cosmetic. It can make shoes tight, feel stiff, and often indicates a more systemic fluid balance issue.
So what happened when they cut the sugar?
Our source explains that with sugar gone, the fluid accumulated around the ankles also disappeared.
Just gone.
Gone. This relieved the stiff feeling in the ankles and made them smoother.
How does sugar cause that swelling in the first place? Is it the inflammation again?
Largely, yes. That systemic inflammation caused by sugar makes tissues hold on to water. Ankles and feet, being dependent areas, often show it quite noticeably.
So removing sugar lets the body release that excess fluid.
Right. Inflammation goes down, fluid balance improves, circulation gets better. It highlights that sugar's impact isn't just weight or face deep. It affects systemic fluid balance, comfort, even how easily you move. Another testament to the body quickly restoring balance.
Ankles, jawline, energy, focus. It's quite a list. We're up to day 7. What's the final revelation of the week?
Day 7 rounds things out with another physical transformation, focusing on the legs overall.
Legs. What happened there?
The author explains, what is this? Elastic legs.
Elastic legs. What does that mean?
They observed that their legs also benefited from being sugar-free. Similar to the ankles, the fluid drained out, which made the legs look more elastic and smooth. It implies a feeling of lightness, better tone, less stodginess, maybe?
Less swelling, perhaps. Smoother appearance.
Exactly. The source specifically mentions cellulite and swelling were noticeably reduced.
Cellulite reduced too, in a week.
Noticeably reduced, yes. For the author, this meant another dream came true, which shows how significant these changes felt personally.
What's the connection between sugar, swelling, and cellulite?
Well, cellulite appearance can be worsened by fluid retention and inflammation, which weaken connective tissues and affect circulation, all things influenced by high sugar intake.
So reducing sugar helps tackle those underlying factors.
Precisely. Less inflammation, better fluid balance, potentially improved circulation. It can lead to the skin and underlying tissues appearing smoother, more toned. It's not just about how it looks, but feeling lighter, more comfortable in your own skin.
Wow, so that whole week was just revelation after revelation.
Pretty much. It really paints a picture of how pervasive sugar's negative effects are, but also, crucially, how quickly and comprehensively the body can respond positively when it's removed. Energy, mind, face, ankles, legs, a total system reset.
Okay, so that's the 7-day journey, incredible changes. But the big question for us and for anyone listening who's tempted by this, did it stick? Was it just a week-long cleanse, or did it actually change the author's relationship with sugar long-term?
That is the crucial question.
Right.
And the source gives a clear answer. Yes, it stuck.
Really? How long for?
The author decided to extend the sugar-free diet schedule, and at the time of writing the source material, they had currently maintained it for 5 months.
5 months. Okay, that's significant, not just a quick fix.
Not at all, and they reported feeling very good. This definitely moves it beyond a simple experiment into a sustained lifestyle change, a true transformation, not just a challenge.
So what does that look like 5 months in? Are they completely anti-sugar now? Never touched the stuff.
It's more nuanced than that, which I think is really interesting and relatable. The author makes a point of saying they cannot say, I don't like sweets and will never eat them again.
Okay, so not total aversion.
No, and that feels realistic, right, what there's helping. But here's the profound change. The brain's desperate desire to eat a small piece of chocolate or a biscuit has been removed.
Ah, the compulsion is gone.
Exactly. That's the liberation. It's not about hating sugar. It's about being free from that urgent, almost uncontrollable craving that used to drive their choices.
So they have control now.
Yes. They can give up the last dessert without regret. That ability to choose consciously, rather than being driven by an addictive urge, is the real victory here.
The brain has been re-educated, as the source put it earlier.
Precisely. It no longer sends signals to urgently eat all the desserts in front of you.
Huh.
It's shifted from an addiction-based response to an empowered, conscious choice.
Did anything else change in their perception of sweetness?
Yes, significantly. The author talks about activating a sweet sensor. Basically, their palate recalibrated.
How so?
Foods they used to eat without thinking much about the sweetness now taste very sweet. An apple, for example, might taste incredibly sweet in a way it didn't before, when their taste buds were constantly overwhelmed by refined sugars.
So natural sweetness becomes more pronounced.
Much more. And conversely, overly sweet processed foods might start tasting almost unpleasantly, cloyingly sweet. Your sensitivity just changes dramatically.
That makes sense. Any other long-term effects?
One really fascinating development. They developed a radar for hidden sugars.
A sugar radar? Like they can just sense it.
Almost. They note they can immediately detect hidden sugar almost everywhere. It's that heightened awareness carrying through.
Where are they detecting it now?
The source gives examples. From bread to fruit juice, carbonated drinks, vegetarian dishes, and seasonings. All those places we talked about earlier.
So that label reading skill becomes second nature.
It seems like it. That radar concept is powerful. Imagine going through the grocery store or looking at a restaurant menu and just knowing, intuitively almost, where the sugar traps are.
Instead of being caught out unknowingly.
Exactly. The knowledge gained in that first week, reinforced over months, transformed their relationship with all food, not just obvious sweets. They're attuned to how pervasive sugar is, which empowers them to make genuinely informed choices. It's a shift from just passively consuming to actively, consciously eating.
That's a huge shift in awareness and control. So, after 5 months, what's the final takeaway? Is it about being perfectly sugar-free forever?
No, and this is maybe the most important point for long-term success. The ultimate wisdom gained, as the source puts it, is that the best choice is balance.
Balance, not deprivation.
Right. It's not about lifelong, rigid avoidance that leaves you feeling miserable and constantly fighting yourself. The author is clear. You don't have to give up cake on birthdays, holidays, or special days.
Okay, that sounds more manageable.
It does, doesn't it? The key, after going through this transformation of breaking the addiction, is how you eat it.
How so?
The advice is to eat it deliciously every time you take a bite without guilt.
Mindful enjoyment, not guilty indulgence.
Precisely. It's not about being strictly sugar-free in an absolute sense anymore. It's about being free from sugar's control. You develop a mindful, informed approach. You can genuinely enjoy a treat on occasion without triggering the old cravings or falling back into that destructive cycle. You're eating with intention, not compulsion.
That sounds like a truly healthy relationship with food and with sugar. Not demonizing it entirely, but putting it firmly in its place.
Exactly. It's about understanding its power, respecting its potential downsides, but having the freedom to choose consciously.
So, we've really journeyed through this week without sugar, a sweet transformation. We started with that stark warning sugar as health's enemy.
Mhm.
We followed the author through that intense but incredibly revealing 7-day cold turkey experiment.
Yeah, day by day, seeing those changes stack up.
And then we saw how it translated into a lasting, balanced lifestyle shift over 5 months. We saw the body's amazing ability to rapidly correct itself, clearer skin, less puffiness, no more swelling.
The physical changes were undeniable.
And the mental clarity, that liberation from the constant nagging cravings that seemed just as profound.
If not more so, for long-term well-being.
This deep dive, it really gives us powerful insights into our body's resilience, doesn't it? Its capacity for rapid self-correction when we remove something detrimental.
It's a striking testament to the immediate and ongoing impact of our dietary choices.
Which really leads to a final thought, doesn't it?
It does. It raises a really important question for all of us, I think.
Which is?
If our bodies and minds can adapt so quickly and so positively, when we remove something many of us think we need or enjoy daily, like sugar,
Yeah.
what other deeply ingrained habits or assumptions might be subtly holding us back? What else in our lives might be preventing us from feeling our absolute best, just waiting for us to recognize it and choose a different path?
That's a provocative question. Are there other sugars in our lives, metaphorically speaking?
Could be. The author's journey really highlights the power we have through informed choices, the power of self-experimentation, even for just a week, to see what happens.
And the joy of discovery and understanding ourselves better.
Absolutely. Understanding our own body, our own mind. Maybe this deep dive is an invitation. An invitation for you listening to perhaps explore your own relationship with sugar, or maybe any habit that you suspect isn't serving you well.
See if you can unlock your own sweet transformation.
Exactly. It's about empowerment, really.
Mm-hmm.
Taking control and seeing what positive changes might be waiting just around the corner.